Going, I do have to go over the rules with you all. We're going to stay all together, and we'll stay on the trail at all times. Please do not touch the walls, don't touch the cave formations, definitely don't touch the ceilings. I'll tell you why once we get down there. Please no smoking, chewing, or vaping down in the cave. This also means no chewing gum and no cough drops. If you have any of that, please spit that out in one of the 2 trash cans we have on the way to the entrance. As far as food and drink go, you are only allowed to take plain water down into the cave with you. No other food or drink. Please keep any trash with you until we get to a trash can, because there is only 1 trash can inside our cave. I'll point out once we get there. If you have any phones or cameras you'd like to use, you are allowed to use them. There are a couple rules that go with that though. Please only still photography, and by that we mostly just mean stay still while you're doing your photography. If you're looking at your phone or your camera and you're walking around, you are not looking where you're going, and that is a bad idea. As a general rule, we also do not want you using flash photography down in the cave, but especially if you're taking a picture of one of our bats. We have some bats down there, they're resting right now. The sudden flash of our camera tends to disturb their sleep, so for their poor little hearts, we'll keep the flash turned off. We'll also keep our noise levels turned down, both to respect our wildlife, but also to respect the other tours we have going down there. If we come across another group, we will, unless I say otherwise, pass them on the right-hand side of the trail. We'll pass them as quickly and as quietly and as respectfully as we can. Sound good?
Good.
All right, a couple things to bear in mind. You'll be walking for a little over a mile on our tour today. I hope you brought your walking legs with you. You're going to need them. It's going to be a nice balmy 68 degrees down in the cave, about 70% humidity towards the back. There are 2 low overhangs I think I should warn some of you about. One gets down as low as 4 foot 8 inches for about 62 yards. One gets down as low as 4 foot 4 very briefly, so make sure you are prepared to duck. Let's see, I am a park employee, not a state employee, which means a couple different things. It means that no, despite how many times I hear it, I do not actually need to wear a big green hat for this job. It also means I am allowed to accept tips, so if you feel generous at the end, it's appreciated, but it's definitely not required. And last but not least, there are 52 steps going down into the cave, which means at the end there are 52 coming right back out. So bear that in mind and pace yourselves as need be. Are there any questions before we get going?
Nope.
All right, let's get this show on the road. Y'all follow me.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
My arms are so flabby.
Let's see.
Water is dripping. Is this one bigger than the one we went to?
I don't know. Just found it by accident.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Definitely make sure you check out that
I was looking for the bat. I was looking for the bat caves.
Oh.
But I seen this one that says that. Yeah.
Cool.
I was looking for the bat caves and it says something about that. You'll see bats in here sleeping.
Oh,
That's a good.
Pero, I was like, hey, tell Beto to bring his botas when he comes, because this is where he meets him. She's like, oh my god, but this is all, he's not that Mexican. And I was like, yes, he is. From Mexico. She's like, no, he's not. She's like, he still listens to gangster rap. I'm all, he's from Oakland. You guys are from Oakland.
Watch out for your step here.
Going down there.
He's not getting better at keeping his step.
Yeah.
It used to be really hard for me.
Right side of the trail.
Holding everybody up or no?
Huh?
We're holding everybody up?
Nah. Okay.
Oh, nice and cool down here.
Oh, yeah.
Stay to the right, folks. Hey, folks, as you go up to the right, that rock ceiling does come down here. Watch your head. Watch your head going down the right.
34, 1942. Dump truck loads of rock from the reef from Longhorn Cabin. Wow.
All right, well, as we finish filing on down, make sure you take a good long look at the rock around you. This is all limestone. You'll see much more of this in just a moment. The fact that there's limestone here tells us something really interesting about this area. It used to be the bottom of an ancient shallow sea. Before it was pushed up by geologic activity into a series of limestone hills that today we call Backbone Ridge. It's what allowed our cave to form where it formed. Now we are standing in one of the only parts of our cave that formed like a typical cave. Rain fell down through the air, mixed with carbon dioxide to form a weak acid that we call carbonic acid. As it soaked into the cracks in the ground, it began to dissolve the limestone it encountered, creating this big, hollow space, which eventually became too big to support the ground above it, so the ground caved in on itself a long time ago, allowing the ancient river that flowed above us at the time to fall down into this space and carve out the cave we'll be walking through today. We are a river-formed cavern. Now, bear in mind, since this was basically a big riverbed, for the longest time, this entrance here was completely clogged by debris. So rocks, gravel, mud, other sediment like that, until the Civilian Conservation Corps came in and cleaned all that out for us. Now, the CCC was a program created by President Franklin D. Roosevelt during the Great Depression to put jobless Americans back to work. And work these guys did. They hauled about 3,000 dump truck loads worth of debris from our cave between 1934 and 1940. They did not use any heavy machinery in the cave itself. They did that part manually. They had pickaxes, shovels, big buckets, some wheelbarrows. That's about all they had. They did all that hard work for $30 a month, 25 of which went back to their struggling families. Now, all that stuff that they dragged out of our cave got put to some pretty good use. Some of it went on to form the original walkway, parts of which still exist to this day. Some of it was used in our historic buildings, both here and over at Inks Lake State Park, a couple miles down the road, and a good chunk of it was used to form the base of Park Road 4, the real windy road you all had to drive on to get to our park today. Now, I'm assuming the front desk gave you some red tickets to give me. Get those ready, I'll take those up in just a moment. Here's how we'll do this with a group this big. When we open up this gate, we'll walk in single file. I'll take your tickets, make sure you have everybody in your crew you're supposed to, and then I'll send you on ahead to the next stop sign. It'll be white, it'll say stop, wait for guide. It's a pretty self-explanatory sign. So without further ado, let's get going.
Let's roll. Oh wait, you gotta stop right here for the guide. The gates to hell.
Just, you know, we were working at Eric because it was this weekend. It was fun. Did you get this?
Thank you.
Kind of cool in here.
Oh yeah, it's nice in here.
Nice, huh?
Shit.
Look how pretty that looks.
Thought it was gonna be all.
Yeah, I thought it would be hot and muggy.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
beautiful right there. The way it is, it's like, man, that'll be nice in the backyard.
We're gonna pass by you guys on this side. Excuse me.
Playing himself or whatever you call it.
Sound like he was saying B-A-N-G-O.
Yeah, spell it. In those little containers, baby.
Yeah.
Seen an Ajax?
Yeah, Ajax and Tom, they look like.
Tom's got to do with anything.
Yeah, I guess we're going to It will be.
Well, I can tell this is going to be a good day. Y'all passed the first test. You stopped at the stop sign like you were supposed to. Now, every now and then, I am going to send you on ahead of me at points, and when I do, you look for a stop sign, it looks just like that. So if there are words facing you, stop at the stop sign. If the stop sign is not facing you, ignore it, it's not for you. Alright? Now, like I mentioned outside, our cavern is a river-formed cavern. Geologically speaking, we are not a very old cave. Our cave is less than 1 million years old. For a lot of that time, it was full of water. Not a good spot for cave formations to form, so you're not going to find too many big formations here like you might see in other caves you visit. But I promise there is still growth here. Now, as a quick refresher, cave formations form when that carbonic acid soaks down through the ground, carrying with it some of the limestone it has dissolved. Eventually, it finds a hollow space, like our cave here, and begins to drip down through the porous rock, slowly leaving behind this mineral deposit of calcium carbonate. And calcium carbonate is a really cool material. It's very abrasive, which makes it very useful in several cleaning products, like HX Cleaner. You can see right in there. Also makes it very useful in toothpaste. So if you brush your teeth this morning, there's a good chance you have calcium carbonate in your mouth. It is also a base that neutralizes excess acid, which makes it very useful in Tums. Although we ask you not to lick the cave wall if your stomach's upset today. Now, one other really cool feature of calcium carbonate is that untainted deposits will glow under a black light. So if y'all compress on into this room just a little bit more, I'll light up this room, and bear in mind, if it is glowing, we say that it is indeed growing. Let's see.
Oh my god.
Got that beautiful ridge forming right up here. A little bit trickling its way on down here. Don't miss this really cool flowstone formation, barely lighting up over here. And of course we have our little baby soda straws poking through right there. Now bear in mind, on the average it takes these things about 100 years to grow 1 inch. So the longest ones in that little cluster, about 3 to 4 inches long, those are older than our country, just for some frame of reference for you. But I'd also like to point out this spot on the wall, right up here. Now that doesn't look like much of a cave formation, but parts of it are glowing nevertheless. That is why we ask you to not even touch the cave wall, because not every spot is growing a formation, but any spot could be. And without a black light, it can be hard to tell sometimes. Now if you touch the rock, the oils that are on your skin or even on your clothes will rub off, creating a slick surface that's not supposed to be there. And that carbonic acid, which is mostly water at its base, will run right off that oily surface